I realised this was a lightning talk, so I can bring a presentation as well, so I'm glad that actually I'm not the only person. I do have some notes. So, my name's Adam Marshall. I'm from Oxford University Computing Sciences, and I'm heading up the Sir Louie project. And that is actually an anagram. I know it's quite a good name, perhaps not as good as Total Recall, but it stands for Systems Integration. Hang on, what's it stand for? Put it down in note. A system to integrate reading lists in the Oxford University information environment. So it's basically it's a rapid innovation project, and what we're looking to do is to connect up our VLE, which is Sakai, with our library system, which is based on Ex Libris Prima. I mean, there's lots of different library systems, but the one we're targeting is Ex Libris Prima, which is a sort of search interface to the Oxford University library catalogues and so forth. And we're going to do this, as you might imagine, using open standards, and it's a rapid innovation project, so we're hoping that the development will be quite quick. It looks like all the sort of interfaces are sort of there, we just need to join them all up. So the current situation is that you can't really do reading lists very well in the VLE in Sakai. We've managed to connect to a journal catalogue, but we don't actually connect to the catalogue of books. So what generally happens is a variety of things really. Lecturers, academics will generate their own reading list. This will either be a Word document, a PDF, perhaps a web page, maybe a handout they give to the students. These reading lists may be stored in the VLE, they may be stored on a website, they may be stored on the person's computer, and there's just no kind of organisation at all between these reading lists. And obviously what the libraries would like is a central point where all the reading lists are, and they can perhaps go in and have a look at them. That would be an ultimate goal. The students also are getting a bit frustrated by the sort of lack of coherence really, and actually the student union drafted a motion sort of addressed sort of at the libraries but also a bit to us, saying, you know, basically get your act sorted out, you know, students are wasting time trying to wade through all these different approaches. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to modify the reading list tool in Sakai, and we're going to modify the search interface to the library system. So the reading list tool in Sakai will have a button which says search the library catalogue, which it doesn't currently have. Click that. You get a nice simple search interface. We're hoping to have this a little bit like the Google Scholar interface. You type in the book you want to find, the book is found, there will be a link underneath all the matches saying import into WebLearn, that's the name of our VLE, import into Sakai effectively. The person will click on that link, and the details of the book will be brought back into the VLE and stored within the reading list. Now the details will be encoded using OpenURL, so the idea being that you could point the Sakai VLE at a different search interface which uses OpenURL, and of course that would work, or you could point another VLE which understands OpenURL at the search interface of the library. So there's a bit of interoperability there. So that's kind of phase one of the project. Phase two is to add availability information, dynamic availability information to the student's reading list. So the student will look at the reading list on the screen. While they're looking at it, some cunning JavaScript will, behind the scenes, query the library catalogue, find out the availability of given books and articles, and present links back to the student. You know, this library has 2 copies, so on and so forth. And again, we're doing this in an open standards way. We're going to use, for those who know about libraries, coins metadata, which basically you put a span around some terms in your reading list. The span has an attribute which I think is OpenURL again. That OpenURL will be sent, well, effectively sent to the library, but due to cross-site, cross-domain JavaScript calls, we have to actually build a little bit of middleware, which will take the coins metadata and it will translate that into queries to the library catalogue, get back the availability information, and then we'll send it back using JSON to the reading list tool, where the JavaScript will cunningly decode all the information sent back and will present to the student where the books are in the library. So that's the sort of basic overview. There's a few side benefits. Apparently there's I'm not a libraries man, I must confess, and there's a few tools, for example browser plugins, which are able to understand this coins metadata. So people who use the libraries a lot can install the plugins into their browsers, and it will be able to do similar clever things with the metadata that we're embedding within the reading lists. So the sort of benefits that we're hoping to see really are quick integration between the VLE and the library systems, better experience for the students, and then looking to the longer term, we're building a platform so that in the future the libraries will be able to look into the VLE and get an overview of all the reading lists that are stored in the VLE and see what kind of books are required, you know, this particular academic year and so forth. project, and that's probably a fair way off, but at least we're sort of building the platform for that. So it's a short project, short talk I hope.